Welcome back to the BallGame podcast. I'm the innocent bystander, Matt Sullivan.
I'm Tom.
I'm Chris.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, no, we're muted during that.
That's good.
NFL Week 7 is in the books. The NBA season is currently happening as we speak. As Devin Booker smokes a wide open layup. But yeah, we're not here to talk about the NBA, even though I'm probably going to get distracted 1.5 million times in the middle of my thoughts. But we're going to be recapping NFL Week 7, all that stuff, talking about some of these teams that may be on panic alert. Is it time to press the panic button for some of these teams? Are we worried? What's our level of concern? And stuff like that. So very excited to talk about all this stuff. It's Week 7 obviously being done. So this is about the time where we start to, I guess, get a good like grasp on how good each team really is. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about that and where we think each team is at the current moment. All right, so we shall start off with Perk Thuggins absolutely dominating.
Perk Thuggins. I haven't heard that.
Absolutely dominating.
That top 10 chain was gas. Last
night against the San Francisco 49ers. Wow. So two losses in a row. The Niners are on a losing streak now. What are our immediate takeaways? How do we feel? What's the panic meter like in San Francisco? Who wants to get us started with this one? 22-17 final, by the way.
Sending out all the tweets and stuff that
go ahead.
So you guys
my initial reaction is to not be that worried about the Niners. 2 losses in a row is usually concerning for anyone. But I don't really know. I think the Vikings I do think it's an issue that the Vikings just kind of caught them off guard. I think that's more or less what happened with the Niners.
I will say one thing. Debo and Trent were out of this game. They did not play.
Yeah. And
that's a big difference. That's
I think
a big
Trent
time
especially,
difference.
Missing Trent especially made a big difference because Daniil Hunter had a game.
I mean, Daniil Hunter's just an absolute animal.
He's an absolute monster.
But yeah, I mean, you think about it, and missing those 2 guys, Debo makes a massive difference for your football team. Opens up everything else for everyone else. Brock Purdy really struggled in this one. Trent Williams not being there changes everything for your pass protection. So that's huge. He's your best offensive lineman. He's arguably the best offensive lineman in the entire NFL. So I see here Jalen Moore filled in, and he actually didn't have a bad game by any means. But at the same time, Trent Williams is just on a whole nother level. So that's a big deal. But all in all, I mean, look, my panic meter is it isn't crazy for the 49ers. I'm not going to slam the panic meter. I'm not going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, if I were to say it, I'd probably be at like a 3 for the 49ers. Just get healthy. Like, that's really all it is for me. Defensive side of the ball, obviously they got torched a little bit. Jordan Addison made one hell of a catch. Where it was a pick, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So Jordan Addison had his coming out party. So that's a big deal as well.
He mugged the man on national television.
Yeah, bro.
No one did anything about it.
He's healthy. He's a baller. They have another guy there in Minnesota that Justin Jefferson goes down, and now you have this guy, Jordan Addison, who you drafted in the first round this year, who steps in and is immediately just balling.
Absolutely.
Balling.
Yep.
So I want to take a look at this Minnesota pass blocking, and a bunch of the offensive linemen actually had rough games. Ed Ingram, Dalton.
Damn, yo, I got crusty ass knees. Holy shit, bro! I'm never wearing shorts on the stream again. What the fuck, bro? Because my legs are pushed up against this, my fucking calves look massive and hairy. Ew, bro.
Your calves do look huge right now.
Look at that. Like that?
That's nuts, bro.
You gotta lotion up, bro.
Let them hang a little bit.
You gotta lotion up, bro.
Yeah.
Damn, boy. Ashy ass knees.
I don't know. I never thought to fucking moisturize my kneecaps.
You gotta moisturize the kneecaps, bro. You got to. Them shits get ashy.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chris, how do you feel? right now on the San Francisco 49ers side before we fully dive into the Vikings?
On the Niners side, I mean, I'm not too concerned because they were injured. You know, they were missing some key guys, obviously Trent Williams, Debo. But you have to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
Because we don't look at the Vikings as one of the elite teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like I've been saying all along, I like Brock Purdy. You know, Brock Purdy, we've obviously given him so much respect, and I don't think any of us are really flipping the script on Brock Purdy. I don't think any of us are going to get up here and say he's a scrub, but, you know, to win Super Bowls, you need elite quarterback play. And if Brock Purdy's playing like this, you know, 21 for 30, 272, that's not that bad, but he had 2 key interceptions with the game on the line.
Yeah, he did.
That last one was
right.
Oh
he
my
didn't
God.
really, like, in totality, he really didn't play like a bad game, but you know, when your team needs you the most to throw an interception, 2 interceptions, that's not really acceptable. And obviously right now it doesn't matter, you know. They're still what, 5-2, 4-2, 5-2,
They are 5-2.
Still 5-2. You still sit atop of your division. You're still probably the favorite to come out of the NFC. So, you know, there's not that much concern in that regard, but in terms of, you know, beating the Eagles in an NFC championship game, it's a little bit to be desired, you know. Brock Purdy's going to have to win the game.
Yeah.
When they play the
When you play these
Eagles.
great, well, obviously Minnesota not being a great team, but when you play great teams, it's going to be close games.
Right.
It's simply going to be
Yeah.
close games. So Brock Purdy, and look, last week he did lead his team to a game-winning drive. Like he did.
Right.
He definitely did. But they just so happened to miss the field goal. This week he throws 2 picks in pivotal moments of the game. That's a big deal. And I mean, now 2 weeks in a row where he's had less than amazing performances. I'm not stressed about Purdy, though. I'm not worried about Purdy. Overall, he was pretty decent aside from those 2 bad mistakes in this game.
Yeah.
But you just can't make those. Those are pivotal moments. I think he'll be fine when Debo and Trent are healthy. Like, those are 2 big, massive pieces for Purdy in the passing game, nonetheless. The run game also really didn't get going in this one. It was inefficient all night. McCaffrey actually only averaged 3 yards per carry. And then outside of that, you didn't have anyone else really running the football outside of Purdy himself. So all in all, I'm really not all that concerned. They'll be perfectly fine. They always figure it out.
Yeah. I think the only concern with the 49ers is that if these losses happened a few weeks apart, I don't think we'd be concerned at all because you're going to lose games. But the fact that they happened in back-to-back weeks and they were very different losses where the Browns, their defense shut down maybe not shut down. Well, their offense couldn't do shit, the Browns. So their defense played really well against the Niners. This week, it was the Vikings offense that played really well.
Carved their asses
So I think
up.
that could be a little concern, but I think we're all pretty much on the same page. We're not totally concerned about the Niners. We're looking at them as still the favorites in the NFC, like you said, Chris. So
Me personally, I don't look at them as the favorites in the NFC
they're not the
anymore.
heavy favorites, and yeah, even if you want to say, you know,
That
there's
team
another
in
out there.
Philadelphia, bro.
Yeah.
They're only going to be getting better as the season goes on
Right.
too. That team in Philly is
It's hard to lose when the refs are on your side.
that is we'll definitely get into that when we get into
on the
that.
Vikings side, I do have. You said the linemen individually didn't have a great game, but no lineman allowed more than 2 quarterback pressures, and on a line that is considered not good, that's huge. We were. What do you say?
No.
Yeah.
They're in totality, it's a good offensive
Yeah.
line. It is. Like
Yeah.
individual players, they have a few
Yeah.
really good ones.
We were sitting here last night and we saw Kirk Cousins.
Sitting,
I don't know how he got out of that.
I don't know what happened on that play,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
And on the defensive side of the ball, I mentioned Daniil Hunter before. He had a 20.7% pressure win rate and picked up he had 1 sack in this game. It's number 9 on the year. This guy is an absolute animal.
He's got to get traded, bro.
I think with those kind of numbers, it's hard to trade him. If they can pick up another couple of wins, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but and maybe get Justin Jefferson back at some point with Jordan Addison balling out the way he is, it's going to be hard to trade him.
I'll tell you right now, Vikings play the Packers this coming week. You could be right back to 500
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Then week 9, let's see. What do the Vikings have? The Vikings then have the Falcons. And then week 10, the Vikings, then take on the Saints. Bro, those are three
Those are
winnable,
three winnable
games. Bro, oh
You
my
go 2-1 in those games.
You're
And then what? After another
You're 500.
another week or two late after that, they'll get Jefferson back. Maybe.
yeah,
So-
likely. I mean, look, they'll hold Jefferson out for as long as he needs to be
Right.
held out. I don't think
That's
there's
the right
any
move,
I don't think there's any way that they'll rush him back.
Even if you win two out of three or three in a row, you don't want to rush him back.
No
Especially
shot.
if you're winning. Yeah.
No shot, especially if you're winning. The only situation I see that happening is if they only win one of the next three.
Yeah.
And even then, I would definitely err on the side of caution
Yeah, I
of don't
think so
bring
too.
your superstar back too early. That's just not a smart move. Also, I
When
do
is the
want to
trade
say,
deadline?
what happened?
When is the trade?
Halloween.
Yeah,
Gonna get real
it is
spooky.
Halloween on,
Okay,
on the
yeah.
dot. Yeah, it's Halloween on the dot. I do want to say one thing. This Vikings defense throughout the entirety of the season, while it hasn't exactly been good, I thought this was going to be the worst unit in
Yeah.
the league. And it needs to be said that, once again, one of the best defense coordinators in the league is making more out of the talent that he has. It's Brian Flores. Like, Brian Flores just continuously gets the most out of the defensive pieces that he's given. And just a whole lot of credit there. The Vikings defense has been far better than I thought they would be this season. Now, is that saying they're great? No, by no means am I saying they're great. But when I thought they were going to be the worst defense in the NFL, and they're far from the worst defense in the NFL, that's pretty impressive in my
Yeah.
book. So,
For sure.
and then
Yeah, I mean, you got Cameron Bynum, who I don't know where he went to school. I don't know where he's from. I really don't
Couldn't tell
call
you,
me a
yeah.
casual, but Cameron Bynum, the safety for the Vikings, he's having a hell of a season.
yep.
PFF's fourth highest graded safety. I think he was the highest graded safety this past week. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he had an interception in this game. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I think he might have.
Let me check the box score. Let me make sure I'm not just fucking giving out false information to
Let
the
me
people.
tell you because I just had it up.
He had 2 interceptions in this game.
He
Actually, he had both
the
of them.
picks.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he had both of them. So he's having a hell of a season. You know, obviously you have Harrison Smith back there.
Ivan Pace is showing out this year as a rookie.
Yeah,
And then, of course,
yeah.
Hunter.
I mean, you know, like you said, Brian Flores is definitely getting the most out of the unit. Like, they're obviously still, they're just not going to be a great unit because they lack personnel compared to some of the great defenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
But Flores, in my opinion, through this point in the season, is doing a great job. And I mean, overall for the squad, for the team, this is a win you got to feel really good about because, like you guys said, the schedule opens up a lot
Yep.
after this point.
Yes,
So
it does.
there's some, you know, going into this point of the season being 3-4, you know, if you told me, hey, the Vikings would be, what was that, their first win in a one-score game this year? So they're like 1-3 or 1-4 in one-score
1-4.
game. All their losses are in
All their
one-score
losses
games,
are
yeah.
one-score
So they're
games, I'm pretty
1-4
sure.
in one-score games, and Justin Jefferson would be sidelined for a few weeks. If you told me they were 3-4 at this point when the schedule opens up, probably wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
You know, you told me they just beat fucking the San Francisco 49ers
Did they lose
on
by one
prime
score
time- on
last
prime
week?
time?
Last week they lost by one score.
Last week they were on bye. No.
Or
last
2
week
weeks
they
ago.
played.
They
Last
played
week
every
they
week
won.
this
Last
season.
week they won.
No. Oh yeah, they did. They beat the Bears. I want to
Yes,
say
they beat the Bears.
They beat the Bears in a real shit, disgusting
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
They beat the
No, I
Bears
mean, they're-
17-10.
you know, they're not having a great season, but they're putting themselves in position to, you know, make a late season push for the playoffs. And I feel like that's really all you could ask from this roster.
Yeah.
You know, make it interesting. Obviously, you know, you have a veteran like Kirk, you have Justin Jefferson, so the goal is to win.
Yes.
And they're, you know, obviously not one of the best teams in the NFL, but they're setting themselves up to make a run. So I
Yep.
feel like that's really all you could ask.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So the panic meter on San Fran overall, if you were to grade it 1 to 10, we can use decimal points. No rookie scores here.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go 3.
I go 3.2 to be exact.
All right. So Tom, I want you to do something for me because
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this shit in a TikTok tomorrow.
Say
Something along the lines of, out of these 4 teams that lost this week, which one are you most concerned with? The 49ers, Dolphins,
Bills.
Bills, or Lions?
Okay. How can I word this?
Exactly how he just said it.
Yeah. Out of these 4 teams
Yeah.
that lost this week,
Okay.
which one are you most concerned with?
Dolphins, Bills,
Yeah.
Niners,
Out of these 4 teams that lost this past week, which one are you most concerned with? The Dolphins, the Bills, the 49ers,
And the Ravens.
or the Ravens?
No, the
No,
Ravens
the
won.
fucking you're an ass.
Oh, I'm
Or
an
the
asshole.
Lions. Just say or the Lions.
Fuck me. Or the Lions.
The power of editing. It's all right. Don't worry.
Sorry, I had the Ravens up
Yeah, I
when
know.
they played the Lions.
All right.
I was like, oops. Yeah, there you go.
Who are we starting with? Are we gonna talk about
Well,
the
we
team
already
and
started.
their,
Yeah,
and their
we're gonna
game?
talk about the team. The power of editing, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just
Okay.
edit it all into it. At the end of the like we just did with the 49ers, at the end before we move on, we'll ask the question.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll,
That's
Like,
fine.
what level is the
oh,
padding
well, no,
meter
the
at?
question was which one are you most concerned with? Shit. Fuck,
we'll
I'm
s-
an idiot.
well, we'll
we
say
could
it.
have just did that overall at the end.
Well, it's
Bear
okay.
with us, guys.
Do we want to do it at the end?
I mean, we'll just give our meters, and then we'll talk about it at the end, like overall, as an overall.
We'll sum it up.
Yeah. It's
So
fine.
are we gonna give the meters on the TikTok for each team, or are we gonna just say which one we're most concerned with on the? Because the question was which one are you most concerned with?
Well, we can give
not
the
what-
meters right now,
Well, we'll give the,
and then
no.
we'll give the final answer.
So we'll give the meters as we go, and then the
Yeah,
final answer, you could do that whole thing again at the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So next up,
You're seeing how the cake gets made, or however that fucking saying
What?
goes. How the what gets made? How the I mean, you can use anything. Cake.
I
pie,
get
you know
the
what I mean?
analogy.
Like,
I understand what you're saying.
You
I've just
use
never heard that analogy
you
ever
can
be
use
used
Whatever you want.
in my entire life. That might be the first time I've ever heard it being
Seeing
used.
how the tower gets built. I don't know.
Please stop. Stop with these shit analogies. All right. So next up, we move on to the Sunday night football game. And I'm going to leave the floor to Chris in a second. Final score of 31-17. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Miami Dolphins. Chris, how concerned are you about the Miami Dolphins?
Man, oh man. How concerned am I on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Me personally, as a fan, 0.
Okay.
0.0.
0.0. I'm
0.0.
really not concerned. We're 5-2 atop the fucking AFC East. So I'm not concerned. This game, though, it was a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yes,
It was a roller coaster. Early on, felt like we were going to get smoked. But then the defense came to life and got some stops. You know, having Jalen Phillips back healthy made a worlds of a difference for this team. I mean, that was the best the front seven has looked all season. David Long was making plays all over the place. Christian Wilkins was getting some pressure, but also Christian Wilkins was not playing too disciplined. What did he get? 2 offsides penalties on called on him?
He literally lined up almost entirely over the ball.
So, you know, definitely there were a lot of promising things from this defense, and I'm not making excuses for why we lost this game, but just looking into the future, I look at what the front seven was able to do in this game, and I picture a world where Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard are back there in the secondary instead of Kader Kohu and fucking Eli Apple. And I think you're looking at a really fucking good unit. And I honestly have a lot of respect for Kader Kohu and fucking Eli Apple. I felt like they held obviously AJ Brown had his fucking way with us, but
I mean, he has his way with everybody
right,
now.
AJ Brown has his fucking way with everyone.
He's historical now.
But I thought those guys made some plays, honestly, Kader Kohu and Eli Apple.
I don't think they were as bad as they could have been in this game.
That's what I'm saying. I really thought they
don't.
held their own for them. I feel like the team as a whole held their own. It's just, and again, I'm not going to make excuses and say injuries were the reason why. I'll just say what it was and not, you know, make a reason why. But we couldn't get the run game going, and that was kind of the determining factor for me.
Yeah.
Until late in the game.
That's what I had.
Not the
Yeah,
penalties, not the second string cornerbacks. Nothing about the defense, honestly, in my opinion. It was really just we couldn't get the run game going, and you know, missing 3 offensive linemen will definitely play a factor into
Armstead
that.
on IR.
But,
Wynn just got put on IR, I think, as well.
but overall, the offensive line needs to be better, no matter who's out there.
Mhm.
They just need to be better. And Tua, because people are gonna fucking clown Tua, because that's the thing with Tua. When Tua wins, the Tua stands are louder than everyone, and when Tua loses, the Tua haters come out of the woodworks,
Yes.
and they're just as loud as the stands.
Yeah.
But I thought Tua played a fine game. He had the interception. It was an underthrow. That was definitely a questionable ball. But I think other than that,
that was a rough ball.
yeah, for sure. But I think other than that, he was moving the ball well through the air. I mean, if Tyreek Hill doesn't drop that pass in stride, it's a completely different game.
Yes, it is.
It's a completely different game. And I'm not even going to say Tyreek Hill makes that play 9 out of 10 times. I'm going to say Tyreek Hill makes that play 99 out of 100 times.
And Tua was under a lot of pressure this game.
was.
Like, they were constantly in his face. I mean, look, we're talking about 3 backup offensive linemen against probably the best defensive line in all of football.
Yep.
Like, I think it's a fair argument that you could say they're the best defensive line in all of football. So I think that's definitely a tough situation for any quarterback. And Tua kind of relies on that protection. Yes, they get the ball out incredibly quickly, but those boys could get after you incredibly quickly too. I could tell you that much, and make that pocket incredibly restricted. So I'm with you, Chris. I think the defense actually looked solid. I really do. And as much as I shit on Xavier Howard, he's better than Eli Apple and better than Kader Kohu at this moment in time. So I'm going to assume that they'll be a bunch better when Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard are there to take some of that away.
And I defend Xavier Howard, obviously, because you shit on him, so I have to defend him because he's on my team. But it's not even really about him. It's really about Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Because I think Jalen Ramsey is such a perfect fit for this Vic Fangio scheme. It's a lot of zone coverage, and that's kind of where Jalen Ramsey thrives. He thrives as a guy who you could move him all over the field, and he could cover, ground, whether it's, dropping back into a deep third or covering underneath or bringing him off the edge with some pressure once in a while. Like Jalen Ramsey's really, that's why I ride for Jalen Ramsey so hard, because there's not another cornerback in the NFL like him. He's a Swiss Army knife of a cornerback, and obviously, he's aging, just dealt with a serious injury. Like, he'll probably have lost his step when he gets back.
I thought the exact same thing.
But I think this scheme is really going to set him up to age gracefully and really contribute. And then you have a guy like X who, he has his lapses in coverage. He definitely has his lapses in terms of fucking holding the other team because, he's always committing penalties. But he's a ball hawk, man. He'll make a play on the ball here and there. I think they showed it on the broadcast since 2016. He leads the NFL in interceptions, and I know that's a long time period.
What bothers me, though, is the fact that people still treat him like he's elite.
I don't think he's elite, but I think he's a quality cornerback,
I don't even think he's quality anymore. He's a below-average corner that has the name value. He's just not, like, he simply isn't. He hasn't been good this season, and he wasn't good he was horrible last season.
Terrible last season.
And he hasn't been good this season either. So I'm just saying, like, people still treat Xavier Howard just because he has that name. They were saying it on the broadcast. They're like, they're missing their elite corner. I'm like, bro, elite in what fucking world? Because I know it ain't this one. And then I listen to the Fantasy Footballers on a daily basis. Shout out to them, guys. They're amazing. They're elite. Yeah. Best fantasy football podcast I've ever listened to in my life. And they said the same thing. They said, they were missing their elite corner, Xavier Howard. I'm like, bro, what football are we watching? Like, I'm like, because he's not. He's okay. I'll give him at best. He's average to this day. But man, like, Jalen Ramsey will change life.
I think
that I can assure you.
Howard, maybe overall he's an average or below average corner, however you want to put him, but he does have an elite trait that's pretty valuable, I think.
He could change a game with one play.
Yeah, I think his ball hawking skills are still elite. I don't think that's anything that's really going to go away, his ability to track the ball. So I think that's super valuable to any team, but specifically this team who, as the weeks go on and they gel together and get healthier, should be able to generate a lot of pressure. You have the big man Christian Wilkins in the middle. Obviously, Bradley Chubb's having an underrated, really having
a very good season.
He's not really finishing plays, but he's getting in the quarterback's face.
Van Ginkel
is out of nowhere. It's been fucking great. And then you get Jalen Phillips back in the mix. So you have a team that should be able to generate a lot of pressure, which is only going to help a cornerback like Xavier
Yes.
Howard, who will have his lapses in coverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They only play into each other's strengths. So I think the Dolphins are really in a good spot. I mean, like I said to start this monologue, 5-2, top of the AFC East. Like, it sucks that we lost this game because it was a game that the media was paying a lot of attention to. And even Mike McDaniel got on his press conference after the game and said, you know, I told these guys, like, if we win, like, the media is going to be all over you guys, like, hyping you guys up. And if we lose, they're going to bash the shit out of you.
Yeah.
We just got to, no matter what happens, we just got to look at it as a normal game. And,
Yes.
you know, as a fan, that's kind of how I'm trying to look at it. Obviously, like I said, it fucking sucks to lose on prime time when the narrative is that you can't beat a good team. You have a chance to walk into Philly and beat a good team, a team that's been pretty hobbled and injured themselves this season. So definitely sucks. But like I said on the last podcast, Miami has the toughest schedule left in the NFL according to PFF. So there's going to be many chances to get back.
Yeah.
There's going to be many chances to beat good teams.
Yep.
This is great for them too in the long run because this prepares you so well for the playoffs. Like playing all these great teams.
And I look at this one I just went on for about 5 to 7 minutes about all these good things that I could take away from this game. So I think that, like you said, that helps you in the Bills game. The Bills game was a complete wash.
Oh my God! You throw that out.
Right, there was nothing good to take away from that game. We got fucked up. This one, there was really some good signs, and really for the majority of the game, it was a one-possession game, and it was right there for the taking.
Yes, it was.
So
no, I look. My level of concern for the Dolphins is negligible. It's pretty much it's a little bit higher than I'd say the 49ers, but I'd say it's probably like a 3.6. I'm not that concerned about the Dolphins either, because as I said, I rely on the fact that defense is only going to get better from adding Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard back. Jalen Phillips, hopefully healthy for the remainder of the season. That's going to help a ton. And then, I mean, look, they'll just continue to gel as a unit. And I hope that Teron Armstead can be healthy come playoff time. I hope that Isaiah Wynn could get healthy come playoff time, and Connor Williams should be perfectly fine. So I don't expect anything to get worse here.
Yeah, from an on-the-field standpoint, I'm not super concerned about the Dolphins either. My biggest concern would be just getting healthy.
Yeah.
And from a skill standpoint, there's nothing you can do about that. You just got to pray that these guys come back and can gel right back in and be effective when they come back as well, especially a guy like Teron Armstead. Mainly their offensive line, because they just got to get healthy there. Their offense is obviously it's a powerhouse.
Yeah,
they're on. So that alone is gonna get them. It's really helpful for the playoffs too. If you just have an offense that can explode,
especially with how they pave holes in the run game.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's so big for them.
They had a bad run game. I don't foresee that happening a lot more. I mean, you did play, like we said, maybe the best defensive line.
It was bad in the first half, and then the second half it started to work.
Yeah,
like they started to be able to run the ball effectively in the second half. Yeah, here I am getting lost in this game.
Gary Payton just tried to posterize Drew Eubank. Holy shit. He went for it, man.
But, all right.
I was going to say, I'll start
on the Eagles side. Yeah, please.
First of all, definitely paid off the refs. But
that was bad, bro.
It was a bad officiating.
That was a really poorly officiated game.
Never blame the officials for a loss. I get that. But, like, it has to be mentioned. I think if we – oh, Jesus Christ.
That's us. Hi.
If we haven't learned this already, we learned that Jalen Hurts is a tough dude. Like he
sprained his knee, I think, or some shit. Something happened to his knee,
and he didn't miss a beat. Like not only did he play the game, but he looked like regular Jalen Hurts playing the game. AJ Brown is tied with Calvin Johnson for the most consecutive games with 125 receiving yards with 5 straight games. That is incredible. This guy is smoking everyone. And like, how do you guard this man? He's big, strong, fast, athletic, great hands, great skill set, great route. Like, what do you do?
He's one of the biggest freaks of nature at the position that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's not even fair.
I think I saw DOS tweeted out. He said, AJ Brown might not be the best or have the best stats out of anyone, but he's by far his favorite receiver to watch all the time. And I was like, he's not personally mine, but
Yeah.
like I get it.
Yeah,
I
for
thought
sure.
like
Bro, here's the thing. He's about to be having the stats.
yeah.
Like, we just
He's-
witnessed some historical shit,
5 straight
bro.
games over 125 yards.
Historical
Like,
shit,
Yeah.
bro.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's
I'm with
crazy
you.
too because a lot of people were, I think, waiting for Smitty to take over the
Yep.
wide receiver 1 role and AJ Brown to take a back seat. That shit ain't happening anytime
No.
soon.
AJ
No,
Brown's
no.
Respect to Smitty, but AJ Brown's just a far better receiver. Like he's just a way.
And like you
elite
said, those
receiver.
those physical tools, you just can't teach
Can't
that.
teach.
Nope. They're
That's-
two completely opposite
Yeah.
receivers.
Yeah,
You can't
sure.
you can't teach being fucking
Huge.
huge, bro. Like
AJ's down there somewhere. Like it
You
literally
could
is.
put
He
someone in the weight room, but that is
Bro,
just
he can
genetically
put-
superior.
You can put them in the weight room. He can jump higher. He can pretty much run faster. Like
Lift more.
it's just crazy. And
He's
then-
just physically superior.
yeah.
and it's also a lot of what made him successful in Tennessee
Yeah,
too.
we've
When
known
you're-
this about AJ.
When you're
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
team that has this elite running game and they could kind of lure you to sleep a little bit, get you to let your guard down in terms of covering over the top, then boom, he fucking takes off. He's going to fucking leave him in one-on-one. He's going to win one-on-one 95% of the time. Like, you can't leave him in fucking one-on-one
Yeah.
coverage, especially with Cater Kohu.
And he got his bestie back, bro. His bestie's on the team.
Yeah.
Julio.
You seen that shit with
Zeidel.
Jalen Hurts where he threw it to him and he was like, oh my God, you wearing that number 11. You looked like Julio. Oh my God.
What?
No.
He was saying to AJ Brown, he was like, oh my God, I threw it down there to you. And, you know, just with that number 11 and
Oh
being
my
so big, you
God.
looked like Julio Jones. Oh, my
Oh
God,
my
it's crazy
God.
because Julio's on the team.
On the other side of the ball,
Bro.
Darius Slay had a pretty good game. I think he started off a little sluggish from what I saw, but he ended up having a big game, big play Slay. That D line is as good as advertised.
That's
They
ridiculous.
got pressure on Tua. They got pressure on Tua, and the coverage was good enough where Tua couldn't get the ball out too quick. And now you're adding Kevin Byard to that defense
Jesus
for-
Christ, bro.
for nothing.
For nothing, bro.
For good old bag of chips.
Bro,
So,
this man Howie Roseman's got to be the greatest GM of all fucking time,
It
bro.
just seems like they always do. Like they get guys for
Nothing.
cost value. Like
For
you know, like-
nothing. For literally nothing, bro. Continuously. They got Swift for basically nothing. They traded A.J. Brown. I'm not saying it was for nothing, but they traded for A.J. Brown, and he turned into this historical receiver now. They seem to just, everyone they draft on the offensive line is just a stud.
Yeah.
Is just immediately a stud. And then defensively, they draft everyone on the defensive line immediately a fucking stud. Bro, it's not fair. It's just not fair, bro. They traded for Slay. They traded for now
Bradbury,
Kevin
traded for
Byard,
Bradbury.
bro. Oh my God, just I'm done, bro. Like, as a Giant fan, we're just gonna have to deal with this every single year, bro.
Yep.
Every single
Twice a
year.
year.
Oh my God. And it's like they built this Georgia defensive line that is just wrecking people. Who would have thought? One of the greatest college defenses of all time. You draft these dudes into the NFL, and now they're going to be one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. Who would have thought? What a surprise.
Funny how that works.
I'm so, bro, like, I'm so done. I'm so done. As a Giant fan, I'm really just, I can't do this shit no more, bro. I can't. I just watch the Eagles just with this team that the best in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and it's just like, wow, this is how you build a football team. Crazy. Insane thought. Oh, my God, bro. Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, like you said, getting Kevin Byard's really not that fair. Just getting an all-pro safety for a guy who's not an all-pro safety and some, late-round picks.
Yeah.
It's not really that fair. And also, I just want to give a shout-out to Hassan Reddick because that, one of my favorite players in the league. His impact in this game is way deeper than
Oh
his
my
box
God.
score. He didn't have a
Yeah.
sack in this game. He had 4 total tackles, 2 of them for loss. But against a team like Miami, whose whole scheme is outside runs and, getting to the edge and speed, having a guy like Hassan Reddick on the other side on the edge to shut that shit down is a really good person to have, I guess. I mean,
Yes.
to me, it kind of felt like there was times in this game, like in the second and third quarter, where Miami's run game was struggling, felt like he kind of shut down Miami's run game by himself.
Bro.
single-handedly.
He blew up Mostert
Just by
twice.
existing. Like, even the
Blew
ones
him up.
where he didn't finish with a tackle, he was filling
Set
the
the edge,
holes.
yep.
And, right. Setting the edge. So, no, he's an incredible player, man.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, like, not only do they get these guys and have a loaded roster, but it has to be talked about how they put these guys in position to succeed. Like a guy like A.J. Brown, who's putting up numbers like a top 5 receiver. A guy like Hassan Reddick, who you can make the case was arguably on his way out of the league before he got to Philadelphia. I mean, what?
He just didn't have a defined role.
Right.
Like,
in Arizona, it was no role, and he was.
They had him as an inside fucking linebacker.
He went to Carolina.
They finally switched him to pass rusher, or at least they were starting to like switch it up a little bit with him. He showed the promise there. The Eagles were like, "All right, bet. Now we're gonna turn this dude into a full-time edge rusher," and he just wrecks everybody.
Right.
Wrecks everybody.
And when he needs a break, and Brandon Graham needs a break, and all these guys need a break, you also drafted another Georgia defensive end in the fucking last pick of the first round in Nolan Smith, who had a sack in this game. It's not normal. It's not normal. Never quite seen anything like it.
It hurts.
And definitely never quite seen
Jalen.
anything like it to where obviously the Eagles are probably greater in this regard to an extent, but there's 2 of these teams with the 49ers and the Eagles who are just loaded on both sides of the ball in every aspect of football.
Yep.
Like it's really, I've never seen, like we've seen great teams before. I don't know if we've seen 2 teams this great at the same time. Maybe in my lifetime.
I agree.
Football.
And bro, like we just said that you could now add a third team to that. The Kansas City Chiefs on both sides of the fucking ball
are dominant,
ridiculous, bro.
There's no holes. Like,
ridiculous. Like they have elite talent on their defensive line. They have elite talent in their middle in their linebacking core, and they have elite talent in their secondary. Like, bro, these teams, these top 3, like I feel like those 3 are in a class of their own right now.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about a team in a couple minutes that might actually be entering that class as well soon enough. So it's ridiculous, bro. It's unbelievable. The Eagles, and there's a specific reason why I side with them just slightly over the Niners. And that Bayard trade helped for sure, but that's not the reason. Overall, in a winner-go-home game, I'm going to trust my quarterback being Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy. That matters. That matters to me. I've seen Jalen Hurts been there and done that, and been effective in big games. So I don't know. I would take him personally over Brock Purdy. That's pretty obvious, pretty clear and obvious. So let me ask this question, because the Fantasy Footballers actually asked this on their podcast, and this is going back to the 49ers real quick. Straight up, player for player, are you taking Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott? I felt it was clear in my head who I would go with.
I feel like it's a trick question.
I'm trying to envision Dak on the Niners and Purdy on the Cowboys. I hate
It's close, bro.
Yeah.
It is close.
I don't know, man.
From what I've seen so far in Brock Purdy's career, it's close, bro.
I don't know.
I'm going to take Brock Purdy.
I've quite literally seen Dak in like a similar situation in his rookie year, and also dominated.
I've been saying since he was drafted that Dak Prescott's an overrated player, and I still think I'm gonna go Dak Prescott.
I still like Dak,
though, man.
I think Brock Purdy's ability to process.
I'm going Purdy.
I would take Dak personally.
I think Brock Purdy's ability to process defenses and make throws with anticipation, I think, is a good amount greater than Dak Prescott, and I think I'm going to take that in a quarterback.
I would agree with that. And
I think Dak has more juice, more playmaking juice for sure.
More big play potential.
So Sleazy said I'm taking Dak ever so slightly, slightly.
It's close, bro. It is close. I'm not mad if you take Dak.
Sleazy also said the Niners and the Eagles are on a collision course, just like the Bucks and the Celtics.
Yeah.
He said stay tuned for that TikTok tomorrow. I am definitely tuned in for that TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. As far as Dak and Purdy, yeah, I'm going Brock. I just think I know we haven't seen Brock in like big time moments like playoffs and things like that, but we have seen Dak, and for the most part, in the playoffs especially, he underdelivers. So I know we haven't really seen Brock there. Am I wrong?
I mean, Dak has also had good playoff games too. Like, it's not just every single time Dak's in the playoffs that all the losses are on him. He's had good losses.
But
like,
I feel like he still underachieves.
Sure, I guess.
I know we haven't seen Brock there, so that might be an unfair,
He's played one legitimately healthy playoff game.
Right. Yeah. So so that might be an unfair comparison, but I don't know. Yeah, I do think Brock's anticipation.
I just also think so many players could succeed in this offense. Like in a perfect world, Kirk Cousins would have been the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, and I think they would be levels. Like, no disrespect to Purdy, but Kirk is really that dude. Like, I'm sorry, he is.
I mean, you said
Kirk would have took them to levels above what they will be capable of with Brock Purdy.
You said we couldn't take away from Jamal Murray because he's in a perfect situation. So we can't take away from Brock because he's in a perfect situation.
Great. Brock's great for sure. I mean? I do also think that Kirk Cousins, but we also did say that Kyrie Irving would do better in this situation that Jamal Murray is in.
But with Dak,
I will say that I think Kirk Cousins would do better in this situation, and I think that Dak would do better in this situation. Yes.
That's such an underrated part of getting Nurkic, man. His ability to pass out of the short roll.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton can't pass like that. Anyway.
I just missed that completely. I missed it completely. Damn. But yeah. Anyways, I would personally
it's an
take
interesting
Dak.
question.
I would personally take Dak. All right. Now we move on. We move on to the next of the big. What?
So overall level of concern for the. Oh.
That is a level of concern.
Wait, it was not charging?
Yeah.
Oh.
Overall level of concern, I'm at
relatively.
He said 0.
Yeah.
I'm at like a 3.7.
I'm gonna go a solid 4, mainly because of injuries.
Okay. All right. Next up, I'm gonna be honest. My concern level for this team is gonna be quite a bit higher. So the next team. Thank God.
I don't know who it is, but no matter what team it is, I think. Yeah.
Oh, no. You're going to agree with me. Yeah. Final score of 29-25, and that is the Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. That was the 1-5 Patriots over the Buffalo Bills.
Patriots.
The horrifyingly bad offensive Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. A team that we all said could have been the worst team in the NFL over the Buffalo Bills. And yet they lost.
They were 10.5-point favorites, we said?
I don't even remember what it was, nor do I care.
Right.
Just where are we at? What's the level of concern? How are we feeling about the Buffalo Bills
right now? I think the level of concern with the Bills, as far as them being a contender, is pretty high. I mean, they just can't string together any sort of consistency at a high level. I mean, when you put them up against Kansas City, it's not even close. I think Kansas City blows them out of the water if that rematch happens. And it's the same shit for the Bills. It's the same shit. They don't run the ball well. Josh Allen in this game, 7 for 17 rushing. Cook 13 for 56 doesn't look bad on paper, I guess, but Cook. I'm sorry, I said Kirk. Cook.
No, you said Cook.
Oh, I did. Okay,
yeah.
Cook 13 for 56. It's just like that's just not impacting the game really that much. Gabe Davis was 1 for 5 with 6 yards. They just can't get. Dalton Kincaid had a good game, but they can't get consistent production outside of anyone but Stephon Diggs on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's a really big issue for the Bills.
I think so. So I said this, and I've said this 1.5 million times. It feels like every play, if the Bills are to move the ball on offense, Josh Allen needs to make a superhero type play. Which is why so often we see this amazing version of Josh Allen on one play and then this, wow, what are you doing, Josh, on another play. It's because he's kind of, in a way, forced to do stuff like this because without him doing some crazy shit, they don't move the ball that often.
But how long have we been saying this about the Bills?
Every year. This has been the same concern every single year.
And it's just like they're not fixing it. So how can you be confident in the Bills to even go to an AFC championship against the, if they see, I don't know how the seeding will work out, but if they see Kansas City or Baltimore, like I don't think they stand much of a chance against those teams. I mean, at the end of the day, you have Allen and Diggs, so whatever, but yeah, I'm super concerned about that.
Especially with all the injuries on defense too.
Yeah.
Like we're not even mentioning the fact, like obviously that's just talking about the offense, but we could talk all day about how bad the offense looked or how bad it has looked and how it's been struggling, but that's been a consistent theme with the Bills.
Matt Milano is an absolute game changer.
It's a huge loss. It's a huge loss, a massive loss for the Buffalo Bills. So, like, you talk about that. Not only that, Trey White's obviously lost for the season as well. Those are two of your, I'd say, 4 or 5 most impactful defenders.
Right.
And, I mean, that's a big deal. So, when you have all these dudes that are going to be missing all this time, like, bro, it's a big deal. I don't know. I'm very concerned about the Buffalo Bills. I don't look at them in the top 4 or 5 of title contenders in the NFL right now, I'd say. And it's tough, man. Like, you got to stay consistent running the football. Does that mean that you have to give James Cook 20 carries a game? No, but you need to involve, if it's Latavius Murray, I guess it's Latavius Murray, but just stay consistent with a ground game. Make it a threat. Make it a consistent threat because people just don't respect it. People just don't respect it enough. And then not only that, someone else has to step up in the receiving game. Like Gabe Davis has gone missing. He's on the back of a fucking milk carton right now, bro. He has gone missing the last 2 games. Stephon Diggs is still Stephon Diggs. I think they might have found something here with Dalton Kincaid finally, which is a great thing. They used James Cook on a touchdown out of the backfield. Wow, what a fucking surprise. The guy could receive. I mean, the guy could catch football. So, yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm more concerned for the defense. I think the offense, somehow, some way, it will always just, figure itself out when you have Josh Allen.
I'd still worry about it in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to get to the playoffs, but the offense is just, I don't know, it's too one-dimensional.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think as the season progresses, I think they figure that out. But you can't fill in the roles of Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White. Right. You just can't.
That's fair.
So
on defense, Mac Jones averaged 9.1 yards per
attempt. He balled the fuck out in this.
And then 2.1 seconds per pass. He was getting the ball out quick, which means the coverage down the field wasn't great, wasn't holding up, and the pass rush was negated. So, and this is the Patriots offense we're talking about.
So here's the thing. They came in with a clear and obvious game plan. Get the ball out of Mac Jones' hands immediately. What I loved, and this is my main takeaway from the Patriots offense in this game, Demario Douglas, a rookie, 5'8" rookie, explosive as all hell. They've been trying to get this man involved. Finally saw over 60% of the snaps, got heavily involved. And he's a legitimate deep threat that could separate. Kendrick Bourne, we've already seen, is a great complementary option as a receiver. If you have those guys going, Mike Gesicki needs to be used more. This guy's a big body target. I mean, look, all in all, these Patriots weapons can be utilized more effectively, and in this game, they finally were. I mean, Demario Douglas, as I said, he opens up so much more for this offense. He's a legitimate threat. Like, you're not worried about Devontae Parker. He's not going to stretch the field. That dude's washed, bro. He's done. But yeah, Kendrick Bourne, Mike Gesicki, Demario Douglas, use these guys. Use them to the best of their capabilities. And then you have 2 capable running backs. Use them to the best of their capabilities. So if they continue to get the ball out of their hands, I mean, Mac Jones, he hasn't been good this year. He's been really bad this year. But all in all, I mean, there was talent there with Mac. Like, we know there was, at some point, talent there with Mac Jones. So simplify it. Make things easier. Make it easier reads for him. So just I liked what I saw from the Patriots offense in this game, and I hope to see more of that continue. That's my takeaway from the Patriots side of things.
Yeah, I mean, no, you guys pretty much said everything. On the Patriots side of things, it's a feel-good win for sure. Yeah. I mean, Mac Jones, like you guys said, came alive. Mr. Douglas was, they unlocked something there with the ability to take the top off the defense. Ramondre had a good game, too, which you love to see that.
Back-to-back solid games.
On the Bills side of things, I mean, this is a real concern. Having a game against the Dolphins, where you look completely dominant and you look like no one could beat you, and then going and playing the Patriots, and it's this. You know, last week playing the Giants, you escaped with a win, but having it look like that, I mean, you pretty much, hit the nail on the head about a lot of the problems with the Bills, the run game not going, only Stephon Diggs being the only reliable receiving threat and separator. The defense obviously taking a hit with all the injuries, but another thing that has to be stated with this Bills team is just overall playing.
That was crazy. Sorry, KD just skied for a board and just walked through. That was just wild. Continue.
But playing down to their competition. I mean, that's a big problem with this team over the years, and it might be a simple excuse rather than actually analyzing the games and talking about yards and separation and defense and all, but just overall, I mean. Saw it last year in the fucking wild card round. These motherfuckers almost lost to Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
They almost lost to Skylar Thompson at home. I mean, this is a trend with the Bills. When the lights are bright and they're going against Kansas City, or they're going against the Dolphins in a Week 3 game at home when the Dolphins just put up 70, like, they're going to show, they're going to show up.
Yes.
But you got to start showing up against the not-so-great team.
It's so weird, bro.
It's just when you get down to playoff time, like, I just don't think it's as simple as that. Like, oh, these are good teams. We're going to figure it out.
Right.
Like, you're going to get figured out.
Right.
You're going to know how to beat you, especially these great teams.
Right.
Already seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right. I asked this question. What is our level of concern on a scale of 1 to 10 for the Buffalo Bills?
In terms of them being a contender, I'm at like a 7.
I'd say 6.5. I know that for a 4-game stretch of the playoffs, including the wild card round, this team could get hot.
Right.
And they could go on a run and win the Super Bowl. But they are not a tier 1 contender. They're not a tier 1 contender.
No, I agree. My level of concern is a 7.5 right now for the Buffalo Bills, especially going into like the season and how I felt about them originally. Every year it feels like I just really want to put them in the Super Bowl, but this was the year that I was officially like, all right, nope, not happening, not doing it. And
can't trust them.
I can't trust them, and it sucks because I do love Josh Allen, absolutely love Josh Allen. But all in all, I see where they're at, and I'm concerned about that, and I don't trust them as a contender, so that's why I have them at a 7.5. Too many injuries, man. That also just sucks. So injuries suck.
You said it before about your favorite receiver to watch. I'm just curious. My favorite receiver to watch is probably Stephon Diggs. I'm just curious.
Ever?
No, in the
right
game,
now,
yeah,
Tyreek Hill.
Hill, yeah.
If we were saying ever, it's Antonio Brown. For me.
I also agree with that. AB was different.
Right now, that's tough.
Love Tyreek.
I also want to say Odell's one of my favorite ever.
That's
Odell is definitely one of my favorite to ever watch. Right now,
AJ Green's up there for me all time. I love AJ Green.
I love watching Jamar Chase play football with a healthy
Jamar
Burrow.
don't do it for me.
I love
Jamar. I know Jamar is great, but Jamar just...
I just would dig.
But yeah, Tyreek Hill. It's obvious. Tyreek Hill's my favorite receiver to watch right now.
I like Terry. Love Scary Terry. Dog.
Terry's good. Is there an underrated receiver that I like, that I love to watch? Let me see. Like, not a top tier guy, but just so entertaining to watch.
Nico Collins.
Of course, Nico is up there. Oh my God. Let me see. NFL teams. Let's look through this. I'm so serious.
As I'm looking at my fantasy teams to see, what's what.
I love to watch Garrett Wilson. Love watching Garrett Wilson play football. That is a very fun man to watch. But yeah.
I like, I'm always a sucker for guys like Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. If you want to look at a rookie who's coming onto the scene right now, my boy Josh Downs. I like watching those route tech type guys who have these fucking massive fucking route trees, could run any route in the game and really route you up, especially Devontae. I mean, that's Devontae's thing.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
So, Sleazy said, Stephon Diggs is easily the best route runner in the league. I don't agree with easily.
Stephon Diggs is probably my favorite receiver in the league, but I don't agree with easily.
He said Jamar is also an insane route runner. Yeah, for sure. But I don't even think that's Jamar's best trait.
The best route runner is Devontae Adams.
It is Devontae Adams. I do agree. I don't think it's not close, but
not close.
But he is the best route runner in the league. And then he said I like Christian Kirk. That's another one that
Christian Kirk
is fun to watch for sure. If Calvin Ridley was good at football, I would say Calvin Ridley. Old Calvin Ridley was super fun to watch as well.
I feel like my favorite receiver to watch all time, as it was happening, would probably be Odell because I'm a Giants fan. I watched a ton of Odell.
Oh, he's so fun to
but
watch,
to go and look back on, it's got to be Calvin Johnson.
Plaxico Burress was
just
also
so unfair. Yeah,
Plax was super fun to watch as well.
But yeah, Calvin Johnson was just unfair. But we can move on.
Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd's a good pick.
Wow.
What
Michael,
the fuck?
Well, I was a Cardinals fan when Michael Floyd was
Oh
balling.
my God! Back in the Larry Fitz, Michael Floyd
I was
days.
thinking of Larry Fitz, and then that's what made me think of Megatron.
Bro, wow. Michael Floyd. Michael Floyd was John Brown, another guy.
John Brown had a year.
John Brown had that year where he had 1,000. Tavon Austin. Oh my God. Yo, speaking of college, I definitely insist that you guys go and watch the Untold Stories doc on Netflix about the Florida Gators. About the Florida Gators, bro. The Swamp Kings. Oh my God. It was actually a Cam Newton team, but it's really Tim Tebow's team.
Right.
Yeah, Tim Tebow's team. Bro, that doc was fucking awesome. 4 episodes, loved it. I actually stood up after the pod last night and finished it. I watched the last 2 episodes. It was great. So good.
I watched a show on Netflix called Dead to Me. And it was 3 seasons long, 10 episodes a season. I finished it in 2 days.
Jesus.
The show, you guys should watch
good, huh?
It was mad corny, but it just really kept you on the edge of the seat.
Okay.
And it was like murder and stuff. It was cool.
It was murder and stuff.
It was murder.
Did you guys see that stat that if we can move on after this, but that stat that the 2001 Miami Hurricanes with Ray Lewis and what was it, Sean Taylor and all them, if the offense never took the field, they would have been they still went 8-4.
That's so fucking ridiculous, bro.
That's insane.
It was who was it? Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
It was
Sean
Ray
Taylor,
Lewis,
Vince
Ed Reed. I
Wilfork
think
was on
Andre
that
Johnson
team.
was on
The
that
Rock.
team.
Johnson.
No,
The
Dwayne
Rock
wasn't on that 01
I
team.
think he was.
Was he?
I think he was, yeah.
There's a movie
Yeah.
about
No,
it.
but there's no way that Dwayne was on that 01 team. No, because he was a WWE superstar in the 90s, bro.
I'm pretty sure.
He went to college in the early 90s.
Wait, you might be right.
There's no fucking way. There's just no way he was on that Hurricanes team, bro. Frank Gore was he on that team? Did Frank Gore go to Miami?
So
No, there's no fucking way he was on that team. I think it was Ray. I think it was Ed Reed.
Ed Reed, Sean Taylor.
Ed Reed, Sean Taylor. That's ridiculous.
Ed Reed and Sean Taylor. Can you
Vince
imagine,
Wilfork,
bro?
yeah. Andre Johnson was on that team.
Dwayne
I think.
was on 91 to 95.
Yeah, bro. I was gonna say there's no fucking way. Wow, that team.
Bro, why
was-
did I see some? I seen some
swear I
shit
saw the
on
same
TikTok.
thing.
Miami was sick back when Dwayne was there too.
I know, but I seen some shit on TikTok, and it was like Dwayne was on the team
Maybe it
and
was
Ray
that he
Lewis
played
was
with Ray
all-
Lewis. Because Ray Lewis might have been on the team at the same time. He might have been on the
What?
team in 95, right?
No, there's no shot. There's just
then he was
no
there for 6
chance.
years, right?
There's just no chance.
fucking know.
Also, congrats to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
They won.
They are in the
Jesus
fucking
Christ,
World
man.
Series, guys, against the Texas Rangers. Who would have thought? Shout out Lav. He just texted me and told me. Yeah, bro, that's unbelievable.
Yo, Sleazy said Reggie Wayne and Julian Edelman.
Jesus. Julian Edelman was not on that team. I can
No.
assure you of that.
His all-time favorite receiver.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I should have prefaced that.
Dallas Clark and Reggie Wayne is such an underrated duo. Yep, that's a great point. Me and my girl watched that W show. How are teams even scoring with Ray Lewis, Sean Taylor, and Ed Reed?
Oh wait, Sweezy, you watched that show, the one I was talking about, the Dead to Me shit?
How are they scoring? How are they leaving the game alive?
Yeah,
with
no,
Ed
that's a
Reed and
great
Sean
point, bro.
Taylor.
Oh,
That's a great
Sweezy,
point.
that show was
feel
fucking
like there were
crazy,
more
bro.
guys
All
on
right,
that
we
team.
gotta move on.
Yeah,
No,
let's
we've
move
been
on.
rambling for a minute.
We have been rambling for a minute.
Sorry, my age
No,
is
it's
crazy.
fine, bro. It's fine. I enjoy the rambles sometimes.
Yeah.
Plus, this is probably going to be the last game that we cover in depth.
It's not even gonna be that much in depth. There's really not that much to cover with
You're
this
so right. There really isn't much. Okay, so the last team that we're going to concern about here is the Detroit Lions, as they got smacked around by the Baltimore Ravens with a final score of 38-6. And let me just say, Lamar Jackson has been, I feel like, from wire to wire, a top 3 quarterback in the NFL so far this season.
That Aguilar touchdown was like so crazy for me to watch because of how long he stayed in the pocket and waited for something to come open, and that's just what people think Lamar can't. Or before
Old Lamar wasn't doing that.
They could, yeah, exactly. Even last season, Lamar ain't doing that. MVP Lamar isn't doing that. You know, so
Yeah, Lamar has just evolved into this elite passer, and
yeah,
until they start winning some games in the playoffs, he's probably not going to get the respect he really deserves.
yeah,
But I mean, like you said, obviously we know what Lamar could do getting outside the pocket and scrambling, and as a rusher of the football, that it's understood, doesn't need to be said. But like you said, Lamar's ability to hang in the pocket and maneuver around the pocket and just make some insane throws,
create something out of nothing.
deep down the field, hanging in there and taking a hit. He has all the arm angles in the book.
Oh my
like
God.
Lamar's just, like you said, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, man.
Yeah.
He's that guy. And I mean, this is what happens when you surround a guy like that with some semblance of receivers and you give him some type of scheme to where he could showcase that ability. Plus, on the other side of the ball, you have an elite unit who, like we said before the show started, is generating the most pressure in the NFL this year. They're
most sacks in the league.
right. They're easily a top 3 unit in the NFL through this point. Probably, I guess, on paper. Not on paper, like stats-wise. I mean, you have an elite duo in the middle in Roquan and Patrick Queen. You have these edge players in Clowney, Owe, and hope I don't butcher this one, Matabuke.
Justin Matabuike, yeah.
Matabuike. Kyle Van Noy obviously had 2 sacks in this game, but you have those guys generating endless pressure. Kyle Hamilton has proven to be every bit worth the draft pick he was drafted at. He's been a Swiss Army knife for them all over the field. So they're elite on both sides of the ball. And I mean, that showed in this game. And, I felt like this was a prime letdown spot for the Lions. I thought it was pretty obvious the Ravens were going to win, in my opinion. But there were people who were on the Lions calling them Super Bowl contenders. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're going to win this game. Jared Goff's the MVP. And Lamar and them boys came and packed that shit up quickly.
Yeah, they did.
This was not the first 5 minutes of the game. The shit was over.
Dude, I was looking at my phone, like I was just like with my family or whatever. My phone kept going off. Lamar Jackson just made a big play. Zay Flowers just made a big play. I was like, bro, how do they have the ball? Another guy on defense, Geno Stone, leads the league in interceptions.
Yep.
I think he has 4.
That's what happens when your team, when the front's generating that much pressure. It makes your life in the secondary that much easier.
Yeah.
And, this is a Super Bowl contending team.
Absolutely.
Like, they're a force to be reckoned with. They've shown to this point to not really have many holes.
This is why, like, my concern for the Bills was so high, is because I just don't think they can hang with the
Team like the Ravens.
or the Chiefs or
Yeah.
the Dolphins.
No, this team is ridiculous, bro. This Ravens team is just, it feels like they're another team that they draft incredibly well, and it just feels like every pick that they make in some way, shape, or form is going to make an impact for their team. And it felt like whatever play call the offense was making, it was as if they knew what the defense was running before they ran it, because the route combinations were perfect. Someone was open on every play. Like Odell looked great in this game. Rashad Bateman had a couple good catches. Obviously, Mark Andrews heavily involved. Zay Flowers heavily involved. Like, this team, I just wish J.K. Dobbins was healthy. The run game is still getting going without him. Gus Edwards,
That
Justice
Island
Hill.
legend, baby.
Like, dude, these guys, like, this team it's terrifying. They're going to be capable of so much if they just stay healthy. And I'm so excited to see what they could do. This is one of the best defenses in the league, one of the best offenses in the league.
Zay Flowers is always open. Like these past couple weeks, he's always open.
Oh yeah, him and Mark Andrews, bro. Like they're just unbelievable
Andrews
players.
makes tough plays too.
He always does. He always does. But yeah, no, I genuinely picked the Ravens coming into the season to win the Super Bowl, and I'm feeling great about that right now. So I'm very happy about that. Those are my guys. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season for this team.
So
on the other side,
I'm pretty concerned about the Lions, and the reason I say that is because, look, their next few games are the Raiders, then they get a bye week, then they get the Chargers and the Bears. But looking at their entire schedule, I mean, I could rattle it off real quick. After that, it's Green Bay, New Orleans, Chicago, Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota. They don't play another quality team other than Dallas. That could end up being like a narrative that they just kind of got lucky with the schedule and got hot at the right time.
And not even just about the narrative, but also it doesn't prepare them for the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't prepare at all for the playoffs.
On the flip side of what we were talking about before with the Dolphins,
Right.
Yeah, because they're not going to play good teams. They're not going to, they're
not going to get tested.
They're not going to get tested until they're going to play Dallas. But Dallas isn't one of those maybe I don't view them as.
I think we definitely jumped the gun a little bit with Dallas.
That's possible. Yeah.
It could have just been a really bad game against the Niners. That happens. Yeah. It happens.
Dallas is a great team, but like if they lose that, I mean, even if they win that game.
Why is there a concert? What the fuck is going on?
Chain smokers, shout out. I'm pretty concerned about the Lions for that reason, that they're not going to get tested. They got tested with the Ravens and they absolutely failed.
So, why my concern level with the Lions is concerned about what? Being a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, and making a deep playoff run.
I wouldn't even say a Super Bowl contender because I don't think they're on that same level as the Eagles and the Niners.
So I'd say
in terms of winning a playoff game or two, I'm at a 5. I still believe in this team. I believe in Jared Goff, what he's shown so far this season. They were missing David Montgomery, and David Montgomery has proven to be the engine that makes this offense go. And I mean, it's clearly evident when you look at the box score. Jared Goff threw the ball 53 times, and as a team, they only ran the ball 14 times. This is a team that wants to run the ball. And obviously, the game script didn't help them.
Right.
They were down 21 in a blink of an eye. Yeah. Like, immediately they were down. So the game script didn't help them. But also, when you're missing a guy like David Montgomery who's able to take the hits in between the tackles and handle a full 3-down workload, and you replace him with a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who Jahmyr Gibbs is great in his own right, had a good game, finally got in the end zone. He went for 68 yards on the ground.
First NFL touchdown.
Needed it, but for fantasy. But 6.2 yards a carry. Obviously, he did his thing in the receiving game too. Had 9 receptions, but he's just a different player than David Montgomery. And based on I don't even know if they really necessarily need Jahmyr Gibbs, but
he's nice to have.
He's definitely more of a luxury than a necessity. Yeah. But David Montgomery is a necessity for this team, and I think that was the biggest takeaway from this game. Obviously, it's, me personally, I don't like to blame injuries for a loss or a win and stuff like that in my evaluation, but I think it was clear as day in this game that this, you might be looking at a different game if David Montgomery plays. You might not. It might have just been the Ravens' day.
32 points for David for a running back to make the difference on. I don't know.
Right,
man.
It might not, but in terms of just the Lions' overall outlook, David Montgomery getting healthy is the biggest key right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, so my concern level for the Detroit Lions overall, I'm winning a playoff game. I'd say it's like a 4. It's like a 4. I'm not too concerned. I'm definitely worried, but look, as I just said with the Cowboys, these days could just happen. Like, show me what you got. How do you bounce back from something like this? I'll concern if I see something like this again. But
the thing is, they're only gonna get potentially
Dallas.
one good game,
And
one
that's-
game where you're going to see that.
That's going to be a massive test.
Right.
That is a huge test because show me where you're at. I don't even need you to necessarily win that game, but if you're very close with Dallas, who I see as the third best team in the NFC at the current moment, then that shows that you are right there, that you are capable of beating some of these teams on any given night. So that is what I want to see from the Detroit Lions. All right. Moving on from that, I feel like there's only one more primary game that I really want to cover. And Tom.
we do have to. Yeah, okay, go into it.
Tom, you were the one. You
only
believed in them.
Yeah,
Wait, can we do that question thing for TikTok?
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Wait, before we do that, do we want to group the Chargers into this too? Or did we already know the Chargers
We
were
already
frauds?
knew the
Yeah,
Chargers
no,
were
no.
frauds, bro.
Okay.
We don't care about that.
Nobody looked at the Chargers as we did with the others.
Yeah.
All right, so of these 4 teams
That
which
lost
one-
this week. Which one are you most concerned with?
Of these 4 teams that lost this week, which one are you most concerned with? The Bills, the Lions, the 49ers,
The Dolphins.
and the Dolphins. Just always blank on that last team, man. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. We're most concerned about Buffalo.
Yeah, it has to be the Buffalo Bills, man. We've seen it too many times with this Buffalo Bills team playing down to their competition, and I think in the long run, that's going to bite them in the ass. Obviously, they have a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and it's the same thing we've been saying for years. On the offensive side, it's just too much hero ball for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and I don't know if there's a solution. I feel like the other teams either A, they're still in great position to win their division and compete in the playoffs, or B, whatever the problems are for those other teams, there's a solution, whether it be just guys getting healthy and, overcoming injuries or what, but I think there's solutions for those other teams. For the Bills, the injuries on the defensive side, Matt Milano's out for the year. Trey White's out for the year.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't coming back to save your defense. And offensively, you have your full unit. So no one's coming to save you on the offensive side either. The Bills are still a competitive team. They're still one of the better teams in the NFL. But in terms of being a tier 1 Super Bowl contender, I'm very concerned with the Bills.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's just stuff we've all seen before. And like you said, with those other teams, the thing about the other teams is their roster construction isn't really the problem. It's just, getting it all to stick together. With the Bills, like the way their offense is constructed, that they don't have really a consistent weapon outside of course, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Is it possible they trade for D-Hop? Like, can that happen?
I
don't
want
know.
to say yes.
I don't think they would.
I
I don't know if they want to take on D-Hop's contract. It's
That's why I don't
expensive.
know
I-
what his contract is, but I don't
I wouldn't put them in the market for D-Hop, but it would make
or like
a lot
Judy,
of
or
sense.
like Jerry Judy.
It would make a lot of sense for them to get D-Hop because he's honestly exactly what this offense would need. Like, obviously, Stephon Diggs is this technician, route runner, where he'll beat anybody on any given play, and you could over-target him and all that. D-Hop is still a very, very, very good receiver and would be a perfect complement to Stephon Diggs. I mean, look, the dude could still get open. He would be going against number 2 corners most of the time anyways, which would just be ridiculous. I think we saw in that one game with D-Hop that he's still capable of being a great receiver. It's a shit QB situation in Tennessee, so I think that's going to make a big difference. If he were to get a
Judy's
guy
realistic?
like I think Judy's realistic to get traded. I don't know if I would put it to Buffalo.
Okay.
But I will say I do think DeAndre Hopkins does get traded. I said this earlier, and I do think it's to Kansas City. Crazy enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back to the Bills. I don't think there's going to be anything different than there has been for the last few seasons. It requires Josh Allen to be Superman on every single play, and that's not going to change. It's just not going to change overnight. It's a whole offensive philosophy that would need an overhaul pretty much. I don't know. They have to stick with the ground game. They don't most of the time. Even when it's effective, it just feels like they give up on it too soon. Gabe Davis needs to figure it the fuck out because he was supposed to be this number 2 receiver, and he hasn't been. Dalton Kincaid, they're finally figuring out how to utilize Dalton Kincaid as a weapon. Hopefully that continues for the remainder of the season.
God, what happened to this old lady?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
to cut
okay
you
because
off.
I'm concerned now too. Oh my goodness.
Is there
she
a
okay?
replay?
Someone? No, I don't think they're gonna replay the old.
She's walking
she's
out.
great. Yeah.
Shout out, old lady.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
She's waving her towel. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go, Warrior. No, she's son. I don't know who she's looking for. I don't even know. Whatever. I hope you're okay, old lady. Grandma, I hope you're great. But yeah. All in all, man, like this ain't getting better for the Buffalo Bills. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They play up to their competition, but they also play down to their competition. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Though, as you said, Chris, those guys ain't walking through the door anytime soon.
Yeah.
Some of those injuries are just unfortunately permanent for the remainder of the season. So, all right. One more game that I definitely want to talk about. Tom, as I said, you're the only one that believed, and I respect it.
Chris sat here and laughed at me.
I did not
me.
have the balls to pick him. I definitely did not have the balls to pick him. But here he was again, having an awful game. Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders fell.
Are you serious?
He had a bad game. He did.
Objectively. Yeah.
That's the reason they
Well, no, of course
didn't
that
have an
wasn't
awful
the
fucking-
reason.
Bro, come on, bro.
He was bad.
I mean, okay. Give your monologue. I'll chime in when it's my time.
So it was the final score was 14-7. I'm not even going to give a total monologue because I really don't have too much to say about this. The Giants' defense has been phenomenal. Their front seven has especially just been unreal over the last few weeks. Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams look like the best interior defensive line duo in the NFL. Exactly what we expected them to look like. Howell was under pressure for almost the entirety of this game. That needs to be said. I'm not taking anything away from that. He got sacked 6 times. And look, we finally look amazing on defense.
Yeah.
The banks are not open on fucking Sunday, bro. The banks are closed on Sunday. Deontay Banks looks great.
Yeah,
he looks
does.
awesome.
He's getting better every week.
Oh my God, he really is, bro. And that makes me so happy to see as well. There's some big time players on this defense. I saw that coming. I also thought the offense would be effective, and it's looked more effective with your backup
also
quarterback in
Yeah,
Tyrod
that's a
Taylor.
big problem.
Not your $40
18
million.
of 29,
dollar
279, 2
quarterback.
touchdowns, 116.9 QBR.
Not your $40 million
That's not the guy
quarterback.
you paid $46
That's-
million dollars.
Yep. Well, we know Tyrod, man. Like he has had stretches in his career where he's played good football. He's a pro. He's a complete pro. He's been a starter for a little while in the NFL, so this is not new to him. He knows how to play. He knows how to ball. Do I rely on Tyrod to be a good quarterback for the entirety of the season? Definitely fucking not. But slowly, some of the offensive linemen are starting to put it together a little bit. Justin Pugh at left tackle is not going to work. I'm just throwing that out there. The dude was getting demolished all night. All game. But the interior of the offensive line held its own, which surprised the hell out of me. Look, a lot of good takeaways for the Giants in this one. And look, I'm happy. As much as I want to see us lose, I'm happy that we won this one. We needed this one.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see.
I'm going to jump in before Chris because I know he's pulling up some Sam Howell or offensive line stats over there. But
I want to see his time to throw.
the offensive line is brutal, man. Sam Howell's on pace. He's been sacked 40 times. He's on pace for, he's on pace to get sacked, I think, 94 or 96 times, which shatters the all-time record set by David Carr with 72. That's really bad for the Commanders. They couldn't really run the ball much. On the offensive side for the Giants, I think Jalen Hyatt finding some consistency could open up some new things for this offense. And just being a weapon on the perimeter. Darren Waller finally had a great game. It was really good to see from him. Yeah, but the defense is just the team overall is getting better as the season goes on. And who knew when you don't play the 49ers and the Cowboys, you look better. So yeah, the defense is really getting better and better, which I'm happy to see. And I think Daniel Jones is going to look better than he did before he went out when he gets back.
You'd think so.
Sure. He has to, right? I'm saying the whole team looks better.
It does.
How can
no,
Daniel
for
Jones
sure.
not be better? You know?
I do agree. I definitely agree. I'm just concerned, bro, with the damage done to Danny. Like Tyrod just looks more comfortable dealing with the pressure right now.
Yeah.
Like it's just the truth.
Daniel
like he
Jones
just
has. Oh my God, Curry just hit a crazy three.
and the Warriors are back in
How many
it.
times has that sentence been said?
Yep. Too many.
But historically, Daniel. Wow. Historically, Daniel Jones has been. No.
Oh, that would have been insane. Continue.
Historically, Daniel Jones has crumbled under pressure, so we know that. I mean, the reason he was successful last season was because he was able to get the ball out very quickly. So yeah, if the offensive line can improve little by little, then we could really use that.
I will say before you do take this over, the draft class from this season made a massive impact in this game.
Yeah.
Hyatt was good. Definitely what, even though he wasn't heavily involved, it's just the fact that Jalen Hyatt is out there makes a difference. Yeah. Ben Bredesen had a great game. Mm-hmm. Probably his best game as a pro so far. Not Ben Bredesen. John Michael Schmitz, sorry. John Michael Schmitz had his best game as a pro, or second-round pick. And then Deonte Banks, as I mentioned before, was phenomenal in this one. So it just seems like the rookie class, what a surprise, is going to get better with the more games that they play. So I didn't even realize if Trey Hawkins had a good game in this one either. I don't even know. Did he play a bunch of snaps? His coverage grade was a 72.5 on PFF too. So, I mean, look, I'll take it. So, yeah, I like what I see. I like what I see so far. I'm very happy to see that the Giants' young guys are stepping the fuck up right now.
Whether we tank this season or not, you want to see that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, take it away. Floor is yours.
Yeah. This was some game. I'll start with the Giants side of things. Got to give them credit. Like you guys said, the D-line has really, flipped the script these past few weeks. They seem like they're getting better as the weeks go on. Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, their fingerprints were all over this one. Tyrod Taylor did exactly what, you want Tyrod Taylor to do coming in as a backup. Come in, get the ball out fast, try and avoid getting sacked. And, if you have to take off and run, take off and run. But for the most part, just protect the football. And that's exactly what he did. Saquon had a pretty decent game on the ground. We know what Saquon could do. Finally, Darren Waller had a breakout game, which, you love to see. I like Darren Waller. Seems like he's the key to this offense. But
2 games, 2 wins, and he was the heavily featured guy.
Right. On the Commanders side of things, okay. It's a Sam Howell issue, for sure. He's the one getting sacked. It's on pace to, like you said, shatter the sack record in a single season. Has to get blamed for that.
Right.
Sometimes sacks are a quarterback stat. Other times they're an offensive line stat. In this particular game, I don't feel like it was him that much, though. Watching it back, I think the Giants just really got instant pressure a lot of the times. The D-line was getting through pretty instantly. But I will say, he got sacked 6 times, so there's a lot of examples, more examples than most quarterbacks. But early on, it felt like he was holding on to the ball too long. And I think that's the biggest trend here. And that's where I transition this from a Sam Howell thing to a Washington Commanders thing. Because even in their wins, they're getting off to these super slow starts. Against the Cardinals in week 1, we thought it was a lock. They win. They started the game losing. Week 2 against the Broncos, they were losing early on. Sam Howell let a comeback. So it's been a trend. And, I follow a bunch of Commanders fans on Twitter. It's been a trend for them for years since Ron Rivera got there.
Has.
So that's a problem. Because to me, it felt like Sam Howell was, IDing the mic and IDing the blitzes better as the game went on. And that's why the offense for the Commanders started to move the ball later on, and they actually had a chance to win the game. Because it was definitely a tale of two halves for Sam Howell and for the Commanders. The first half was awful.
Yeah.
Second half, he had some life. He had some juice. He was slinging the rock a little bit. But to me, it's all on Ron Rivera. It's all Ron Rivera's fault. And
Some of it should go to Bieniemy too.
Yeah, I guess, but
with football especially, it's hard to blame one person for the.
I know,
but
it stems from.
It's
Ron
all
Rivera.
so bad.
Yeah.
I just think that Ron Rivera is the leader.
Yeah.
And you've had the same problems since you took over. And, you brought in a new quarterback now. You brought in a new offensive coordinator. You have all these young, exciting pieces on defense. And things just aren't changing. You just keep getting off to these slow starts and putting yourself in a hole and not getting any type of run game. The run game looked promising the first few games of the season, but since week 2, it's been non-existent.
Yep.
It's been non-existent, and you guys know how I feel about that. You're never going to win football games if you can't run the ball.
Sure.
So, has Sam Howell been great like I hyped him up to be? No, he hasn't been, and he gets blamed for this. The thing that's concerning about it is it seems like it hasn't improved as the season's gone on.
Yep.
Week 1 and week 2, you're taking a bunch of sacks. Like, all right, it's a long season, but now we're at week 7, and you're still on pace to be the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. So, yeah, you got to get blamed for that. Sam Howell, you have to do something to improve your pocket awareness. The coaching staff, the offensive line, you have to do a better job to protect him.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, my biggest thing, because I'm a part-time Commanders fan, so I root for this team and I care about this team. Ron Rivera, you have to do a better job preparing your team. You have to do
Putting
a better
them in good situations.
You have all week to prepare. You have to do a better job to prepare your team to not come out and have slow starts. You can't afford to have a slow start against a Giants team who's on a 4-game losing streak with their backup quarterback. They should have no life.
Yeah.
The Giants should have went into this game with no life. It really should have been a blowout.
It definitely should have been a blowout. I was prepared for a blowout.
Or at least the Commanders should have won it convincingly. I think you guys could both admit right now to this point, the Commanders are the better team on paper, the better roster on paper, right? To this point in the season, they are.
For sure.
There's just no reason you should. And I really do. Like I said, Sam Howell, the beginning of this game, it was rough. He was terrible in the beginning of this game. Why I reacted when you said he played terrible and awful was because I thought in the second half, he was the only reason they had a chance to win it.
I agree with that. But in totality of the game.
In totality, it wasn't a good game, but I don't think it was god-awful. Like I said, the beginning of the game where he got off to a slow start and looked terrible, the whole team looked terrible around him. In the second half where he looked better and it looked like they had a chance to win, the whole team looked better.
Yeah, we scored all 14 in the second quarter.
Right, and that's why I think it's something that's above the roster. I think it's the management and the coaching.
We've said for a long time this Commanders team has great talent on their roster, and they do.
You would think.
It's almost a foregone conclusion that Ron Rivera is like,
oh, he's gone.
So
after the season, he's gone. Arthur Smith is probably gone. Brandon Staley's definitely gone.
Honestly, if I was a Commanders fan, I would want them to just get it done with now. Do it now. Let Eric Bieniemy take over as the interim.
See what happens.
See what he got. If things change, then maybe offer him the head coaching position. But overall, do your due diligence in the offseason and interview guys. Look at different guys. But if it's such a foregone conclusion, which I think at this point it has to be a foregone conclusion that Ron Rivera is going to be gone, why not get an early look at the guy who might be his successor in Eric Bieniemy?
It's going to be really difficult for him to retain a job.
Right.
There's not
almost impossible.
Yeah, there's not much he can do to salvage the season.
I don't know. It's rough for the Commanders. And I feel for their fans because like I keep saying in this monologue, I really do feel like it's not a roster thing. The O-line's bad. Like, that's obviously a concern.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sam
There
Howell.
are salvageable players on that offensive
There are.
line, though.
Yeah.
There are. Love Sam Cosmi. That's my guy.
Sam Cosmi's good. Charles Leno's great. But I mean, outside of that, I guess it's a little
Andrew
rough.
Wiley
but-
sucks. But I just, like, obviously, again, the O-line isn't the best. You know, you have a quarterback in his 8th career NFL start. You know, he hasn't looked great. The running backs or whatever. But aside from that, like, you've talent in the secondary. Obviously, you have immense talent on the D-line.
Right.
You have some skill position receivers. Like, you have talent on this roster. So, to me, it really is an upper man. And I feel bad for the fans. I really do. I feel bad for the diehard fans because
Yeah, they deserve better.
when I guess, like, I am a semi-fan because I keep up with everything that's going
Yeah.
on, just, like, in that regard. But so I see how the fans are feeling and reacting, and I can't speak for all of them, but just seeing that it's pretty much consensusly known around the fan base that it's a management and a problem above the players on the roster, like, feel bad.
Yeah.
Feel bad.
No, I get it. It's just been constant pain for them. So, like, there really hasn't been a light at the end of the tunnel since the Kirk
Like,
Cousins
I still
time.
think Sam Howell is the answer. I think, he has one glaring hole, but other than that, he looks to be above average in everything else,
He has
There
good
are
arm
plenty-
talent.
Right.
I can't think of names off the top of my head. I feel like there are plenty of quarterbacks that early in their career held onto the ball too long and got that issue fixed.
That's-
with the right coaching and scheme.
That is the biggest issue
Right,
for these
yeah,
players
yeah.
because typically when you come from college, you usually have far more time.
Yeah.
You
They drop
do.
back a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And another
like-
thing that I saw was Sam Howell in that last year at UNC where he had all these rushing yards and like crazy rushing stats was like amongst the lead. I think he was just behind Malik Willis and everything, but he was second in almost every like broken tackle stat for
That shit ain't
quarterbacks,
happening
where,
in the
right, that's
NFL,
just
bro.
not-
Yeah.
I like Sam Howell as a mobile quarterback. I think he can make some plays with his legs, and we've seen it. We've seen him break some tackles and break
Yeah.
out of some sacks, but at the NFL level, you can't rely on that.
Nope.
Especially being an undersized guy like Sam Howell.
Yes, exactly. If it's a guy like Josh Allen that I see those metrics with,
Right, it's
I'm going to
different.
probably believe
course,
that,
yeah.
bro. You're 6'5", 240. You're a linebacker. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's tough. Is it fixable? Yes, with Sam Howell. Jesus Christ, he just ran him over.
I don't think it'll ever be great. Like, he'll never be like, amongst the
Top
best
10 to
quarterbacks in
12
terms
quarterbacks.
of pocket. No, I think he could play at a top 10 to 12 level, but I don't think he'll be amongst the tops in terms of pocket presence and stuff but that's okay.
What do we always say about rookies? Like you said, sorry to cut you off. He's in his 8th game, his 8th start.
Not technically a rookie, but rookie.
No, I'm comparing him to a rookie. Like, you want to see flashes. We've seen Sam Howell.
We've seen so
talent.
many flashes.
He
We
has
have.
talent. Like, that's undeniable.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's so hard to get a quarterback in their
right
perfect
situation.
situation.
I mean, yeah, let's not forget the fact that he was going to be one of the top 10 picks in the NFL draft prior to
Right.
that final season at UNC or the last couple seasons at UNC. So
Yeah.
Sam Howell was looked at as a big-time quarterback prospect at one point. So yeah, we all know he's got that talent, but we'll see what happens. All right, are there really any other games that we want to fully go through?
No.
Perfect. Phenomenal.
We could even leave them at, like, we don't even have to say shit.
The only thing
That's exactly how I feel about
the only
these,
one
to
I
be
want to
honest.
mention is the Browns Colts.
That was a nutty-ass
That
game.
PI at the end of the game was ridiculous. That ball was clearly uncatchable.
That was horrible.
and-
There was a play
yeah.
before that I thought that was the right flag.
Yeah,
They threw the flag on the correct. It was the correct call,
yeah.
but that one was horrifyingly bad.
Myles Garrett is on PCP, crack. I don't know. He is on some sort of drug that it's not.
He's on
it's
the
not
Lawrence
fair.
Taylor treatment.
It's
before
not
the
fair
games.
that he can. He looks like if a New York City crackhead got superpowers. That's kind of what Myles Garrett is. Like,
Yeah.
And
for a guy with-
was 6'4", 280 with abs.
he jumped over the line to
Bro.
block a field goal.
Nah, he's not human, bro. And it's so funny because this was the best horrible defensive performance for a team that I've ever seen.
I don't think I've ever seen, or not often at least, one guy dominate a game, like carry a team defensively. Then I know the Browns' defense is great.
They got their defense did get torched though.
But I don't think I've seen one guy rise above the rest. Is what I should probably say.
But there were two plays in this game, one with Josh Downs and one with Michael Pittman that like had no business happening.
Yeah.
So I'll say that much, but like, goddamn, Gardner Minshew torched them, but also just had so many costly turnovers
and almost costly turnovers too. Like,
yeah, it was. I have nothing to take away from this aside from Deshaun was clearly not healthy.
Yeah, and the Browns
starting that game
need to get
sit his ass for weeks.
Yeah,
honestly, because his arm looked shot.
Yeah,
shot. And get Amari Cooper the goddamn motherfucking ball. Jesus. That's all I gotta say. That's really all I
don't have to talk about any other game. I want
all these other games are kind of ass.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered what we needed to.
So
sorry to the fans of all the other teams.
Shout out to the Chiefs, man.
Yeah.
Big time dub for you guys.
We did 2 podcasts in a row. It's fucking late. Like
I'm so exhausted.
Next week our recap we'll hit every team, we promise, but not tonight.
No, definitely not tonight. So
all right, well. NFL MVP ladder post week 7. So I think we might agree. I think we're all going to have the same 3 guys. The order might be off a little bit. My number 3 is Lamar Jackson. I think after this statement win against a team that was on the up and coming, I think that proves that Lamar Jackson should be a top 3 MVP candidate, having arguably the best season of his career in terms of throwing the ball. So I have Lamar at number 3. My number 2, it has to be Pat Mahomes. You know, his team's 6-1, won 6 straight. He just had a game with 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
It was an insane game.
So you have to have
300 at half.
Yeah. I think this was the game that we were waiting for Pat Mahomes to have to just put him in the conversation.
We said it.
Yeah.
We said it.
Yeah.
Right.
We said this is about that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my number 1's still going to be Tua. I think Tua still leads the NFL in a lot of the major statistical categories. He has the stats to back it up. He's on a team that sits in first place in his division. He's had some crazy games. So I'm going to keep Tua at number 1 for now.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I have the same guys in a different order. My number 3 is Tua. I originally had Mahomes there, but I had Mahomes at 2 last week, and after the performance he had last week, I can't slide him down to 3, you know. But Tua is still killing it. I mean, unfortunate loss this week. That definitely had to factor in there as well. Number 2 is Patrick Mahomes for me. An absolute monster of a game. And, you know, we said last week, when in doubt, Mahomes, it's not even in doubt anymore. This guy he's best quarterback in the league, and it's clear that the Chiefs are a force to be reckoned with. And he's the leader of that, and a really majority of the reason why. And my number 1 is Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens put on a show in a game that people not expected them to lose, but you know, not everyone was taking them to win, not, let alone win, but to flat out dominate the Lions. And Lamar showed out, and I think the way he's transforming as a player is just unreal. And you know the numbers are going to be there for him.
So when I do these, I try to think to myself, like, all right, if the season ended today, who would I like vote for?
Yeah.
So at number 3, I have Lamar Jackson. I need to see one more game like this, and then I'm probably going to put him all the way at 1. It was tough. I definitely was thinking about this hard while you two were going. Lamar was special this week. Lamar's been special all season. It just didn't turn into the statistical production that we wanted to see to this point. Obviously, a bunch of drops from the receivers and stuff. But you know what? It's going to start turning around now. It seems like the offense finally found its groove, and hopefully that continues for the remainder of the season. At number 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. As much as I wanted to put Lamar or Pat at 1 and not have Tua at 1, due to the 2 losses that he did have, I still can't because I've seen a really, really, really bad performance from Patrick Mahomes this season. And yeah, I have to keep him at 2 because of the game that he just had. I expect more of that for the remainder of the year. Again, another guy that didn't quite have exactly the statistical production that I would be looking for in the MVP. And at number 1, we've been saying how they lack that clear-cut victory over a big-time team, but that with the statistical production that he has to this point in the season, that doesn't really matter. And at number 1, I have Tua Tagovailoa for those reasons. So, yeah.
See, I usually do my MVP. I go who I think is going to win it.
Okay.
You guys both do it that way. Like if the season ended today,
I
that's
try
who
to
give
do
the
it like
awards?
that.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, that's fair.
Who would I vote for?
Yeah,
And I'd probably vote for Tua simply because of the stupid
yeah.
statistics that he has.
Even with the
season.
power
Yeah.
rankings too, I try to do it based off like
power rankings I do as of this week.
This
but
is
yeah.
going to be fun. The power
This
rankings
is
I
gonna
go
be
by.
really
The power
fun,
rankings
yeah.
I go by up to this point in the season.
Right.
Where do I think these teams are?
Yeah.
So
All right. NFL power rankings post week 7.
Post week 4.
Pains me to do it, but it's time to drop them. At number 5, I have to have the Miami Dolphins. You could argue they could be even lower. I wouldn't be too mad at you, but I think 5's a good spot for them right now. Just lost to the Eagles, so you obviously have to move them down after a loss compared to teams who won.
Right.
Number 4, I have the Ravens. Like you said, Tom, they put on a show this past week. They dominated the game in every single facet against a team that we look at it as a potential contender in the NFC. So you got to give the Ravens that respect. 1 through 3, it's pretty simple. 3, I have the Eagles. Beat the Dolphins. Congrats. 2, I have the 49ers here at 2. It was tough between 1 and 2, but one of these teams has a man named Patrick Mahomes, and the other one doesn't. My number 1 team is the Kansas City Chiefs. When the defense is balling like that and you have Mahomes and Kelsey on the other side, pretty unbeatable. They've been unbeatable, actually,
Right.
this season with the 2 of those guys.
So at 5, I also have the Miami Dolphins. I think, like you said, got to drop them after a loss, especially to a team that's also in this top 5. I think they're going to be fine. I think they'll bounce back. I think the only thing holding them back is really injuries, and they could easily slide up this list. At 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I originally had them at 3, but I like what you said about, we got to see this at least once more against a good team. I kind of agree with that, but I think they could definitely be the best team in the NFL when it's all said and done. And at 3 is the Eagles. They're a terrific team. I don't mind putting them at 2. But I trust the 2 and 1 a little more. And I do think they're gonna get better as the season goes on. I was a little concerned with them that they were gonna be stagnant because they started the season not looking as dominant as the record shows, but I think we'll be convinced as the season goes on. At number 2, I have the 49ers. Same reasons. I mean, they're just a really well put together team. 2 back-to-back losses, though. I feel like I can't put them as the number 1 team in the league. I still think they can totally get there. And at number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's pretty convincingly. I mean, I think the scary thing is this Chiefs team has won 2 Super Bowls, and this might be the best they've ever looked, like on both sides of the ball. So I think it's pretty clearly the Chiefs. And if they get D-Hop, then, God bless the rest of the league. They're going to need it.
Okay, so I start this out by saying that when I rank these teams, I rank them in what teams I would trust the most in a postseason game and who I think has the least holes on their roster. So at number 5, they didn't do a goddamn thing this week, and somehow, some way it helped them. I have the Dallas Cowboys. I think as an overall complete roster, they still have one of the best in the entire league. Yes, they got the brakes beat off them by the San Francisco 49ers, and I understand that. But every team is going to have their week where they look horrible, and it happens. And I'm perfectly okay with that, and I expect the Cowboys to bounce back. At number 4, 38-6, I have to put you in the top 5 now. It's the Baltimore Ravens, especially after performance like that. It was unbelievable. And I see the total vision with this team of where they're a top 5 unit on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. At number 3, I have the San Francisco 49ers. They lost 2 in a row, and I just had to penalize them a bit for that. They still have an amazing roster. They should be perfectly fine, as I've said it multiple times during this podcast. I couldn't have them in the top 2 when these are probably the 2 best rosters in all of football. And at number 2, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are still an elite roster, probably the best on both sides of the ball in the trenches, on both sides of on both sides of the ball in the trenches in the entire league. Nothing changes there. I think Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy, in my personal opinion, just gives them the slight edge there. And then at number 1, Chris said it before, only one team has that boy, Patrick Mahomes. And not only do they have Patrick Mahomes, they have, you could argue, the best defense in all of football now. So they're that good. At every level of their defense, they are that good. So, yeah, I have to have a team that has Patrick Mahomes and an elite defense at number 1. They just dominated the Chargers in the second half of the game. So I expect more of the same for the remainder of the year.
So Kai asked, where did you have the Dolphins
6
last week?
Oh, where did I have the Dolphins last week? I think I had them at 3 or 4.
So
the Cowboys not playing as opposed to losing to the Eagles.
But the Cowboys also have 2 losses, and their losses are worse.
I would agree, yeah.
They got
lost to the Cardinals.
manhandled by the 49ers.
And they got the brakes beat off them by the 49ers. Yeah. So as I said, the way that I was ranking this is what team do I trust more come playoff time? And I would trust the Cowboys more come playoff time as a complete roster than I would the Dolphins.
I'm not trusting the team that got smacked by the Cardinals more than the
They
team
didn't even get
they
didn't get smacked by the Cardinals. They lost to the Cardinals. The Cowboys, yes, they had 2 absolute stinkers so far this season, but like come playoff time, bro, that defense is legit.
I feel like
it's far better. It's far better.
I feel like we haven't done power rankings this whole time based off what we would.
I feel like it's based on what you've seen this season so far.
We all had the Dolphins at 1 for like a few
Probably
weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
I wouldn't trust
70 piece the team, yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't trust the Dolphins over probably like 5 or 6 teams in a playoff scenario. Even back then when they 70 piece the Broncos. We've been doing this off. You're just being a hater.
No, I'm not. Because at the same
You're
time,
trying to give the Cowboys their flowers, I think. You said that earlier.
I am, because look, to be fair, like I understand why everyone's dropping the Cowboys because their 2 losses were horrible, but their wins have also been some of the most dominant wins we've seen throughout the entirety of the season. I know the Dolphins put up 70 on a team, but like at the same time, the Cowboys are just beating the brakes off people, shutting people out.
What are the last 3 games we've seen of the Cowboys? The last 4 weeks,
because they smacked around.
Right. So the past 4 weeks for the Cowboys have been lose to the Cardinals, smack the Patriots, who suck, smack the Patriots, and get blown out by the 49ers, and then sit.
They beat the Chargers?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they beat the
Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah, they beat the
right.
Chargers,
So that's their last 5 weeks. Lose to the Cardinals.
The last game was the Chargers.
Lose to the Cardinals, smack the Patriots, get smacked by the Niners, beat the Chargers,
and go on by.
Sit. I feel like that's
The Dolphins' last 4, smacked by the Bills.
I'll pull it up.
smacked by the Bills, beat the Giants, beat the
Panthers.
Panthers,
Lost to the Eagles.
lost to the Eagles.
They beat 2 bad teams.
They
Got
did.
beat bad by the Bills. And didn't get beat all that bad by the Eagles.
The most impressive win of all of them was the Cowboys over the Chargers. Because, like, yes, I understand
I'm
what we're
more
going to say about
impressed
the
with
Chargers.
the Dolphins holding their own against the Eagles and the Cowboys beating the
I'm
Chargers.
more depressed by them getting the brakes beat off them by the Niners. I get it, they're the Niners.
but the Dolphins also got the brakes beat off them by the Bills, and that is not aging well at the current moment. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty much a wash. It's just which roster do I trust more? And I trust the Cowboys roster more. I just do.
I don't know. To me, it's just hard to move a team up in a power rankings when they didn't play.
They didn't play, yeah.
I guess
sometimes not playing and losing is. as opposed to losing is a big deal, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Cowboys are going to be very good for the remainder of the season. I really do.
All right.
And
Hold on. I have a blind ranking little thingy majig.
Can't call it that.
Yeah. All right. So it's loading the stats.
It's okay.
Which NFL edge rusher would you rather have based on their stats so far this season? All right. So player A has 5 sacks, 37 total pressures, and a 22.1% win rate.
Okay.
And just for like the purposes, he has 20 total tackles and 1 forced fumble.
Okay.
Okay. Player B has 7 sacks. Damn. These stats like changed from when I first fucking brought it up. Hold up. I'll go like this actually. Player B has 6 sacks,
Okay.
35 total pressures, 20.4% win rate.
Thank God for the power.
I'm
of
not
editing.
looking, bro. Don't worry. I'm just trying to watch the game.
Bro, this is a wash. Just forget it. End the podcast. No,
At this
looked
rate, I would have probably taken player
Player
A.
A, yeah.
So who were the
Player
two?
A
anyway?
was Micah Parsons.
Okay.
Player
and-
B was no one.
What?
Player B doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
It's not real.
All right. Who was he supposed to
And
be?
with that, we're done.
So who was he supposed to be, though?
Actually, hold on. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. End the fucking podcast. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep.
12-11, bro.
Yeah.
Done here.
Well, shout out to our partners. Yeah, go ahead, Chris, if you want to do this.
Shout out to our partners over at Thrive Fantasy. Sadly, in the Proptober contest, we took a hit this past week. We're in like 6th place now because you lose points if you miss all the legs.
Oh,
And one of our plays this weekend missed everything. So we're still at 90 points and we're like in 6th place. It's the last week, so like we need to come with some vengeance this week. We got to hit everything, honestly. But if you guys go sign up for Thrive Fantasy and use code BallGamePod, they'll match your first deposit up to $250. Tom, you're not in the fucking shop, man. Has it been like that the whole
No,
time?
No. We
Oh,
just
like,
moved out,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
No. we're good.
They'll match your first deposit up to $250. The NBA's back. Love to gamble on the NBA with some player props. So make sure you guys go sign up for Thrive Fantasy. Our boys, use code BallGamePod.
Shout out to our partners over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best ticketing app on the market. They grade each deal on a scale of 1 to 10, with green being a good deal and red being a bad deal. On your first purchase with SeatGeek, be sure to use code BallGamePod for $20 off. Again, that is on your first purchase with SeatGeek. Be sure to use code BallGamePod for $20 off. Obviously, as Chris said, the NBA is back. Bunch of NFL games. If you want to go to see that Monday night game that we're going to be at for you, are you going to be at?
Oh, I'm going to be at.
Oh, he's going to be at. Monday Night Football game, Chargers, Jets, November 6th. Be there. Use SeatGeek. We're all going to be there. Let's all meet up. So shout out to our guys over at SeatGeek. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am fucking exhausted. Follow us on all of our socials.
We really love you guys. 2 days in a row with podcasts till late at night. So.
Yeah, and all of you showing love in the chat that have stuck around. Really do love you guys especially. So y'all are the best.
Especially Joe Cruz.
And with that, boogie, 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 boogie.